What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Mike Man YC. We back with a reaction. Today we are reacting to why I decided to stop having sex. And I may weigh in periodically during the video. I may weigh in completely at the end. We'll see how it goes. But regardless, hit that like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
In a world that places such an emphasis on sex and finding a partner, what happens when you stop trying? Well, that's what I'm going to tell you. For a period of 5 years of my life, from the ages of 17 to 22, I completely stopped trying. No sex, no dating. I think the place to begin is the fact that it is well documented that young people are having less sex than before, which is a subject that I find fascinating. You know, it's a reflection of our changing world and our changing dynamics between the sexes. And yes, in this video, I'm mainly going to be talking about heterosexual dynamics between men and women. What I have noticed is that everyone seems to want to say what you should or shouldn't do when it comes to sex. Some people see it as impure, other people see it as sacred. We use very strong, nasty words to shame each other for doing it too much, for not doing it enough. And so I'm doing this precisely because it is so difficult to talk about and because I don't think it should be. I think this should be a normal thing to explore. And this is one of the most important decisions of my life. I am not who I am today if not for this. This isn't because I don't like sex, because I see sex as sinful, or because I have a low sex drive. This is a very intentional decision, and all the more intentional because of my upbringing. I grew up in a house where my parents were really open about this. You know, they didn't impose any restrictions other than to be responsible with safe sex. To do this, I'm going to break this up into 3 parts. Why doing this kind of thing is so uncommon, why I chose to do this, and what it taught me. Over the last few years of my time on the internet, I've noticed a sort of morbid interest in a meme, a concept, incel, which stands for involuntary celibate. It's referencing a person, usually a man, that maybe wants to have sex but is unable to find another partner that is willing. I think this is a big fear for a lot of people. Perhaps there is such a morbid fascination around this because it is such a hot topic. This is a fear for a lot of people, and sex can really mean validation, as in you are enough. The default assumption seems to be that if you are not having sex, it's because you can't get it or you're not trying hard enough. But what if not having sex was a conscious decision? Not a permanent one, not a renunciation of sex for your entire life, but for a period of time. A period of time dedicated to other aspects of your life. One of the reasons why I think this is so uncommon is because there's something so blinding about the allure of sex or companionship, which is what makes it so tricky. And I think that this will always be the case with things that provide intense pleasure and, again, validation. And on top of it, nowadays, we inundate ourselves with imagery, sexual imagery. The things that you see on social media or on the internet are so often so suggestive that in some ways we're desensitized to it. All you have to do is hop on Instagram, right? And you can see essentially an unlimited amount of beautiful women. There is no limit. And of course, I'm saying that as a guy, but you can go on and see just about anything. People with the perfect bodies. And that's not even to speak about the impact of filters, which makes everybody look more beautiful. You can fill your mind with this distraction 24 hours a day. I do have friends that have discovery pages or For You pages that are just wall-to-wall gorgeous women. And there is something unnatural and unsettling about witnessing that all the time. If you're single and not religious, you're not technically doing anything wrong. But does that make it okay? Does that make it right? My theory around why we do this is because it's so incredibly easy to mix up a want with a need. This really began to occur to me when I first witnessed, or experienced, I should say, for myself, how short-lived the pleasure of having sex really is. It's so easy to want it so badly that you think you need it, but you really don't. I have to mention the role of societal pressures on this topic, as well as all of the media and stories that we consume about love and sex. It's easy to arrive at the conclusion that that is where happiness comes from. You find somebody that completes you, and end of story. Well, guess what? I don't think it works that way. I do not operate with the idea that if I just find the right person, I'll finally be happy. And this is probably more than a little corny for me to say, but when it comes to happiness, I am not going to wait around forever for the bus to arrive. I'm just going to start walking. Before going any further,
Ooh, I was trying to I ain't even want to pause it, but that was pause worthy, bruh. I am not going to sit around forever and wait for the bus. I'm going to start walking. That's tough. That's a line right there.
to say that I don't think I'd be able to speak openly about any of this stuff if not for years of therapy. It's difficult saying, yeah, for a good chunk of my adulthood, I purposely didn't do the thing that makes people feel desirable and also seem desirable. Therapy in many ways has been what has helped me have the confidence to make these decisions and be solid about these decisions, and also to have the courage to question the assumptions that exist on how we should be living our lives, which is why I am thrilled that the sponsor of this video is BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy both more affordable.
WAD, by the way. WAD. Whoever needs that, lock in. Lock in with that.
Let's keep going. So why did I choose to do this? Honestly, in early adulthood, I had other priorities that more captured my attention.
I do not know anything about using a camera, and that's exactly why I'm trying to use one right now. I would like to learn.
And I'm not entirely sure why this was so clear to me, because I too care about finding a partner and having a family, like a lot of people. For some reason, it was clear to me that pursuing women was a very high-cost activity in terms of energy, time, and resources. I know it's kind of weird to talk about it in that way. We have all these ideas around love being this just natural, spontaneous thing, right? But sometimes finding love also takes a lot of effort, right? You have to put yourself out there. Resources spent on that are resources I'm not spending on figuring out who I am. And I hate to paint it in such a black and white way, because you do learn a ton about yourself. I have learned a ton about myself through relationships that I've had with other people. But there was a period of time where I had a burning desire to figure out who I was, to get clarity on what I want to do in life. And therefore, it just didn't feel like the best way to spend my time, to go to lots of social events or to spend hours a day swiping on apps to eventually, hopefully, find somebody that I can click with. And again, maybe there is a difference here between being a man and a woman in a heterosexual context in this particular regard, because I see a lot of guys investing so much time and energy and resources into this, and I just wasn't willing to do that for a section of my life. For most of my life, there has just been this looming urgency to figure out and find as much meaning as possible in my life. What am I doing here? What is the impact I want to have? What am I exploring? And this began so early in life. I mean, at the age of 4 years old, I was asking my grandparents what happens when you die. At 13, I was panicking about how quickly time was passing. This has been a very, very present theme in my life. For as long as I can remember, I've had this passion, this curiosity about telling stories, about making things and sharing them and connecting with people. And as I entered early adulthood, it was finally my chance to figure some of this out. When I looked at things through that lens, going and getting drinks with somebody I had very little in common with just felt so unimportant. Now, of course, I do not believe the idea that you should have yourself fully figured out before you find a partner. That'll never be the case. Your house will never be fully in order. I'm forever a work in progress. I'm still learning about myself and hopefully will be for the rest of my life. But what I'm trying to point to here is that certain kinds of self-knowledge and self-understanding can only be developed in solitude when you have that time and space to explore these things. I just think it's really important to step away from distractions and look inwards. I have a view that our lives are actually composed of many little lifetimes, right? And one of my lifetimes was this period of several years dedicated to intense work and experimentation. And as I've grown into a place of having clarity about these things, about who I am and what I want to do, it has felt as though that lifetime has naturally come to a close and a new one has begun. If you've been following my work for the last few years, this is actually something that you've seen happen in real time. As over the last few years, I've felt this genuine opening up and curiosity and bandwidth to create community, to develop deeper connections, to explore dating. So this period obviously gave me clarity on a few really big things. The first is that I am totally okay with being on my own. I don't need somebody. I not only don't need to be in a relationship to be happy, but I can live a really full, vibrant life doing my own thing. There are a lot of things in life that provide a deeper sense of joy and meaning than superficial dates or hookups. And on the point about being okay being on your own, I think we'd all like to believe that, but sometimes you just have to experience that for yourself to really believe it, to really know it. Just saying to yourself that you're okay on your own might not be enough. Another huge thing that came out of this time of my life is that I got major clarity on my voice as an artist, as a creator. I had so much time to experiment and try different things out. And even now, thinking back on it, I smile because I'm like, wow, what a time. During the entire time that I lived in Mexico City, I didn't go on a single date. And that period was marked by just an explosion of experiments artistically and creatively. I feel like I grew so much in that time period. It was really so fun and so fulfilling to be constantly pushing my boundaries, to be just fully absorbed in what I was doing. And it's not something that I feel I'll ever be able to do to that extent again, especially if I have a family one day. I have to be honest and say that I am proud that I have been able to be prolific and create a large body of work at an early age. And I think that's contributed a lot to my self-confidence and self-belief. I also got clarity on what I'm looking for. You know, it was a slow realization, but I am looking for something very specific. And unlike a lot of men who seem to really enjoy the chase, a woman being really beautiful, that alone is just not enough for me. I don't enjoy just pursuing women. There are certain things I'm looking for, like a level of introspection, a willingness to do personal work, emotional work. And I think it was easier for me to get clarity on this by stepping entirely out of the whole dating world and to observe it from the outside and reflect on what I really care about. In retrospect, I really feel like I wasn't missing out on that much. Yes, there are some couples in my life that feel like they have something really special, a really deep connection, but they are in the minority. When I did re-enter the world of dating and had experiences with some of the shallowness that can be a part of that, it confirmed to me my belief that that is really not what I'm looking for. Look, all of this comes back down to the simple idea that I just want to show up as intentionally as I can in my own life. Just because there's this general expectation, that most people do things in this certain way, doesn't mean you have to. Human beings do all kinds of stuff that doesn't make sense. I'm making this because I genuinely feel that this is an incredibly powerful way, an experiment, if you will, to find some clarity in your own life if you feel like you're lacking that. I believe that when you have a solid relationship with yourself, it is so much easier to love others. And as a final point, a message I'd like to leave here. It's easy to do things for the wrong reasons. It's easy to do things that feel good, especially in the short term. But is that the right decision? Sometimes life asks us to take a different path, to be different, to not follow the crowd. And I'm learning that that's okay, that sometimes that's the best thing you can do. Life is, in many ways, a journey of learning to be okay not having everyone's approval. This was a step, for me, in that direction, and I'm glad I took it.
Dang, bro. Nah, that was tough, honestly. I do agree with a lot of what he said. I do agree that dating can be very shallow. And people in general can be very shallow, and people can be very repetitive. A lot of people are just extensions of what they see in social media, especially girls. Like their sense of humor, the jokes that they say, the little slight remarks are just a lot of what is seen on social media is very repetitive. And it's not fulfilling though. Like it's exciting and it gives you a level of validation, but it's not fulfilling. It's empty. Like I could literally spend the next 5 years chasing girls, and I could end up with very little in return. I could end up not only with very little, but in a loss. I could be in a net loss. Like I could lose myself, I could lose my purpose, I could lose a lot of my morals. Like there's so much to lose, chasing girls. Plus, it's better when the girl comes to you. It feels a lot better when the girl comes to you. Anybody, when the person comes to you, that just feels way better. Like, you don't have to do as much chasing. Like, you can reciprocate and show love, but you don't have to, chase. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Even if you're not religious, even if you're not this or not that, or even if there is no specific reason why you shouldn't, if it isn't in alignment with what you want and who you want to be. Like, you don't have to work out. You don't have to eat healthy. Bro, you don't have to. Or what? What's gonna happen if I don't eat fruits and veggies every day? If I don't smoothie, or if I don't do my push-ups, or if I don't, you know, get my cardio in, or if I don't drink an adequate amount of water? Well, no, ain't nobody gonna do nothing. Ain't nothing about to happen to me. But you should, though. Like, there's repercussions to doing certain things just because you don't have to. And we're so legally minded. Like, oh, well, the law says I can do this, so I can do this. The law says I can be 355,000, 100,000, million, 100,000 pounds. So I'm valid. The law says, like, yo, the law says this, the law says that. Oh, okay, I'm gonna operate within the extent of the law. Yo, that quote was hard, though. That quote was hard. I'm not, wait, what he said? He said something about the bus. Bruh, he killed it. He said, I'm not going to wait on the bus to happiness. I'm just gonna start walking. That was cold. Like, that was cold. Like, the imagery was there, bruh. The imagery was there. Like, you could dead ass picture that in your mind, bruh. That was elite. You know, it's tough. That's a tough decision, though, man. Like, that's a tough decision. You know, but look at the results. Like, hold on, wait. Let's look at the results, though. He had 2 million subscribers. Like, what is his content? Like, let's really be honest, though. Like, what is his content? Like, he really just talking in front of a camera with some B-roll. Life is better in Europe. Okay, so he travels. My complicated relationship with men. My worst day ever, I got robbed. So he just living life, telling stories, bruh. Like, come on, like. And it seems easy. It seems like, oh, anybody could do that. Come on, like, if you could do that, you would do that. But nobody want to hear you talk. Look, 30 days of cold shower, not what I expected. He pushing himself like, oh, I could do that. I could sit behind the camera with some B-roll and some music and Nobody want to hear you talk, though. That's the issue. That's the issue. Nobody want to hear what you gotta say. Nobody, you're not doing nothing that's interesting. You're scrolling hours upon hours. He active. He's speaking 5 languages. He active. Taking cold showers every day. He active. I learned Italian in 7 days. He active. For people feeling behind in life, he got some wisdom to say to people. He got wisdom to share. You know, daily routine, what I learned. I went vegan for 30 days. He's active, man. Like, it's not hard, but it's not simple. It's simple, but it's not hard. Like, it's a easy concept to understand, but it's not simple to do. That's what I mean to say. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. I ate for $1 a day full week. Bruh. Look at these videos. Like, he really just living life. He living a life niggas wish they could live. Not going to college was the best decision of my life. I mean, you know? Dopamine, how to reset your mind. He's really like... Shout out to this dude, man. Shout out to this dude, man. He's inspirational. But let me know what y'all think. Definitely like, comment, share, subscribe, like some videos, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.